My fusion system, fusing 1,000 chickens at the start. Chapter 161, Iron Fist. Hey, Anna, you must have made a mistake, Martin said as he knelt on the ground. Anna was tough and wanted to face Watson head-on. No matter how she looked at it, she looked like she would leave. Why would she choose to stay? That's right. I want to stay, Anna said as she glanced at Watson. She had only said those words on impulse. She regretted it when she got up, but she could only force herself to stay. She did not expect Watson to let her go. She had wanted to refuse at first, but Watson had given her too much. She would not be able to take revenge if she left that place. If she could become stronger by staying there, she might as well stay. She would think of ways to take revenge after she became stronger. At the very least, she would only consider those things after she became a gold-tier mage. Miss Anna, congratulations on making a wise decision. I will give you your reward now. Watson reacted and smiled slightly. He extended his hand. The skin on his palm squirmed as a bright sun gem appeared. This sun gem is yours. As for the phoenix egg and this month's gold coins, I will give them to you after you have officially signed a contract with Blackmoon Castle. Anna took the sun gem from Watson without hesitation. She carefully examined it before she put it into her mouth and swallowed it. The sun gem was scorching hot and fragrant as it slid down Anna's throat, making her moan contentedly. Then a flash of brilliant light burst from her body and turned her fiery red eyes golden. A large amount of sunlight gathered on Anna's body, making her look like a goddess who had descended from the sky. A gold-tier aura emerged from her body. At that moment, Anna had become a gold-tier mage with both fire and light elements. Thank you, Anna said, that gratitude came from the bottom of her heart. She had worked hard in the Mage Guild for more than 10 years, but she was only a peaked bronze-tier mage. She had yet to enter the silver tier. After consuming a gemstone, her strength had surpassed the silver tier and reached the gold tier directly. That was something that she would never be able to do in her lifetime. Even though I've become a gold tier mage, I should become stronger before talking about revenge. It's decided then. She had considered vengeance after she became a gold tier mage, but then she regretted it. Watson could fight against platinum tier elites, so, at least until she became the platinum tier. Anna prayed silently in her heart. She believed that Audrey's soul in the underworld would not blame her if she knew about it. The people there looked at Anna, their eyes filled with envy and hatred. She had not needed to do anything to become a gold-tier mage, she only needed to consume a gemstone. How could such a good thing not happen to them? Now, it's your turn. Since I've given Miss Anna 2 choices, why don't I give you 2 choices as well? Either become Blackmoon Castle's slave or rebel against me. As I said earlier, I'm a merciful person. This is your last chance, so you must seize it. Watson turned his head to look at the people from the Mage Guild as they knelt on the ground. There were now 7 mages in residence, including Anna and Capella, who had recently been upgraded. He wanted to form a mage army, but the number of mages was insufficient, so he had to recruit from the Mage Guild. I am a member of the Northwind mercenary group, an individual with a soul and dignity. I can submit to Blackmoon Castle and serve as a guard here, but you want me to be a slave? Impossible. A bronze-tier warrior from the Northwind mercenary group stood up and said through gritted teeth. That man was not concerned about the number of people around him. If he had not seen the reward Anna had received, he might have obediently chosen to become Blackmoon Castle's slave to save his life. However, when he saw the benefits Anna had received, he became envious. He also wanted to test Watson's resolve and see if he could receive the same reward. You are right, I will not become a slave. In that world, men could have their heads severed, and blood flowed. Their dignity and fortitude must not be compromised. Another warrior from the Northwind mercenary group stood up. If you want to kill me or cut me up, do as you please. I will never frown. That's right. You guys are courageous. Is there anyone else who wants to resist? Watson nodded as he looked around. More than 10 mages and warriors stood up when they noticed his gaze. They stiffened their necks and remained silent, pretending to be unafraid of death. In fact, they were all considering what kind of reward they would receive later. Martin paused for a moment, looking around at the people who had stood up, but he did not stand up. He was a little tense. If only he had fought like Anna did then. It was too late to get up. He was curious to see who would receive the reward first. If he could get up again, it would not be too late, but Watson would almost certainly punish those people. He felt that Watson's second round of choices was too tempting. After honey, it was often a trap. Very good. Since you have chosen the second path, I will give you your rewards now. Watson narrowed his eyes and looked at the people who had stood up. He waved his hand and called for Capella. Capella, come over. What's the reward? Is it the same sun gem? We fought in the second round. The reward might not be that good. I don't need a gold tier gem. As long as I can become an official guard in Blackmoon Castle and receive 10 gold coins a month, that's enough. The mages and warriors, who had previously been stiff-necked, discussed it enthusiastically. There was, indeed, a reward for resisting Watson. In any case, all they needed was a place to stay and a decent place to live. The reward for the second round of resistance is to be killed and fused into Capella's body. The system fusion was activated. What? Someone exclaimed. No. I was wrong, young Master Watson. I won't resist you anymore. Arg, someone knelt. Unfortunately, it was too late. Amidst the terrifying screams, the joy on the faces of the people who got up had utterly disappeared. They turned into streaks of light and were fused into Capella's body, that made Capella's powerful aura even stronger. Congratulations, Master, for a successful fusion. Combat Maid, Capella, has obtained the strength of a gold tier warrior. Gold tier Combat Maid, Capella. Abilities: an omnipotent maid who can handle all household chores such as washing, cooking, and cleaning. She possesses the strength of a gold tier mage and a gold tier warrior. She has mastered a variety of spells and a gold tier combat aura with both water and fire elements. Additional abilities: charisma, intelligence, decision-making, charm, and courage, will fight bravely against enemies. Combat strength increased by 20%. You have not only attained the standard of a gold tier warrior, but you have also obtained additional courage. Not bad. Watson nodded his head in satisfaction. There were only 50 people left from the Mage Guild and the Northwind mercenary group. That was half of the people who had shown up. Those 50 men were trembling. They looked at Watson in disbelief. One of them asked, "Why? Why did that happen?" Anna had received a reward for resisting Watson, but those who opposed later were punished. Just because they were late by one round, Watson did not believe their words. At that moment, Watson's smiling face no longer looked cute in their eyes. He was no longer like a child but a devil. "I'll tell you why." Watson's tone was calm. He said, "In the first round, I gave you 2 choices. That was to test your loyalty. Only the loyal ones would be exempted from punishment. In the second round, I gave you the same choice. That was to test your wisdom. If you're smart enough, you should understand that you wouldn't get anything from me if you stood up then." Those who stood up in that situation were all idiots, and idiots are not qualified to join Blackmoon Castle. After a short pause, he continued to say, "Now, I'm going to give you a third chance. Do you want to stand up against me?" Devil. Watson was a devil. Everyone had that thought in their minds. No one dared to stand up again. They all prostrated themselves on the ground. "Surrender, we surrender. We're willing to become Blackmoon Castle's slaves. Please don't toy with us anymore." Some of them had planned to join Blackmoon Castle just to obtain rewards or pretend to be someone from Blackmoon Castle as they waited for an opportunity to rebel. Those little thoughts had all dissipated. Watson's 2 rounds of actions had made them understand that they could not defeat that youth. Any bad ideas would only make them even more miserable. He was a child, yet he had such iron-blooded methods, it had shocked them profoundly. Chapter 162, A Planned Scheme. The astrologer stood nearby as he kept a close eye on Watson's every move. He did not say anything, and his expression was slightly moved. When Watson said that he wanted to recruit those people as his subordinates, the old man had wanted to say something to remind them. Those people had been tricked so miserably by Watson, so they could not really surrender. They would only turn into moths after they were recruited into Blackmoon Castle. However, Watson had recruited Anna, the only one who had stood up to resist him. That was beyond his expectations, so he did not make a move. Immediately after that, Watson's actions shocked him even more. The first round tested courage, the second round tested wisdom. After that round, those people from the Mage Guild lost their temper. And Watson had also successfully planted a seed in their hearts, a seed that ensured they would never resist. What a good method! The astrologer sighed. He had a strange thought in his heart. Was his disciple only 10 years old? Why did he feel that he was even more shrewd than an adult? Pure strength could only make people strong. If one had the strength and intelligence, they would become the overlord of a region. The astrologer saw the shadow of a young overlord in Watson. The astrologer laughed at himself. He was a little scared to see Watson. No one would believe that Watson could make an old monster like him, who had lived for hundreds of years, afraid. While he was terrified, he was also intrigued. He was curious about Watson's parents. What kind of people were they to raise such a child? Capella, take those people to the castle to sign a contract and arrange a place for them to live. Watson waved his hand and gave Capella an order while the astrologer was thinking. Yes, young Master Watson. Capella bowed respectfully as she led the remaining soldiers of the Mage Guild and the Northwind mercenary group toward Blackmoon Castle, her gaze fixed on Watson. Anna was one of them. The expressions of those people were somewhat gloomy. No matter what their identities were in the past, whether it was the elder of the Mage Guild or the leader of the mercenary corps, at that moment, they were all Watson's slaves. Those people's expressions were a little gloomy. Regardless of their previous identities, whether it was a Mage Guild elder or the mercenary group leader, they were all Watson's slaves. Master, let's go. Watson turned around and walked in front of the astrologer, revealing a cute and sweet smile as he did so. Oh, right. The Blackmoon town has suffered significant damage, and Blackmoon Castle is on the verge of collapse. I could have arranged for you to stay in a luxurious room, but I am afraid I will not be able to do so now. Do you think you'd be all right? You brat, you've just taken me as your master, and now you're asking for benefits. The astrologer scolded him jokingly. No, not at all. After all, you were the one who started the fight. You harmed not only Blackmoon Castle but also my men. What if they blame you and refuse to recognize you as their master? Would not that be awful? Watson placed his hand on his cheek. He made a face. As long as you do not acknowledge them, they will not acknowledge you. That won't do. My men are like my family. My master is also my family. It would be difficult for me to do anything if there's a conflict in my family. Can you please be more considerate? Watson stretched his hand and pulled the astrologer's arm. He shook it gently, and his big eyes twinkled pitifully. How about that, master? You help me repair Blackmoon Castle, and I'll spread the news that you've become my master. All right, you're really smart. I give in. The astrologer replied helplessly and touched the beard on his face. Ever since the battle ended, he had stopped using his magic. His handsome face had gradually aged, causing wrinkles to appear on his face again, and his beard quickly grew out. He had wanted to help with the reconstruction of Blackmoon town. After all, he had taken a fancy to Watson's ability. If he did not repair the town, it would not be good if Watson became angry with him. He did, however, want to take the initiative to repair the town, and Watson had requested his assistance. Watson also stated that he wished to publicize the fact that he had become his master. He was clearly looking for protection for himself. If he made it known that he, a platinum tier mage, had stayed at Blackmoon Castle, no one would dare to cross the border. What a brilliant strategy! The astrologer gave his disciple a thoughtful look. On the surface, his disciple appeared to be a harmless child. However, after what had just happened, he had already seen Watson's true nature. Underneath the child's exterior was a heart as cunning as a fox. He appeared to be aware of the astrologer's gaze. Watson pretended to be cute by saying, "Do not be concerned, Master. I am not going to let you down. How about I announce to the public that you're my master? Not now, but a long time ago, you became my master. I can become a gold mage and warrior, all thanks to you. You are not here to attack Blackmoon Castle. Instead, you are putting me to the test through the Mage Guild. That way, the family will not hold it against you. You will also gain a reputation as a good teacher." The astrologer sighed, unable to defeat Watson's blinking eyes. "I see what you mean. I'll listen to you." Watson, he suspected, had devised a plot against him. Phew! Watson exhaled a long sigh. He had long asked the astrologer to pose as his master. On the one hand, it might help to resolve the conflict between the astrologer and his family. On the other hand, he could conceal the fact that he had the system. He had lied to his family, claiming to have learned the fusion system from a master. He had not allowed that master to appear after all that time. His family would most likely be suspicious. It was enough to assuage their suspicions since he had the astrologer. After he discusses it with the astrologer, they walk toward Blackmoon Castle. Just as they entered the castle gate, a figure rushed forward and hugged him tightly. "Watson, it's great that you're okay. Fifth brother, what's wrong?" Watson realized who was hugging him when he felt the warmth of his embrace. It was his fifth brother, Peter. Unlike his previous sluggish appearance, his fifth brother appeared to be very energetic. His arms were brimming with power. He must have taken the phoenix egg. "I heard there was a battle going on outside. I was really worried that you wouldn't be able to come back. It is a shame I have been bedridden all year and know nothing about fighting. Otherwise, I might be able to assist you. I am so useless." Peter's face was stricken with self-pity. Watson patted him on the back and comforted him. "Do not be like that, fifth brother. I am relieved to see you here in good health." Young Master Watson, young Master Peter had insisted on running outside. "We almost couldn't stop him. He even carried some of us, and he had some knowledge about herbs. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have been able to recover so quickly." Not only young Master Peter, the other young masters and ladies also did what they could. An injured Blackmoon knight walked forward and said with a smile. Watson had fought desperately to protect his family. His family had also racked their brains about how to protect him. They were very kind. It was their honor to be able to work for such a family. "You flatter me. I did not do anything." Peter scratched his head in embarrassment after they praised him. He had been ill and in bed for a long time, so he had some understanding of the medicine that he usually took. One could almost become a doctor when one was ill for such a long time. "Watson, thank you for your hard work." The master of the castle, Edward and Catherine, also walked outside, followed by all his brothers and sisters in the house. Watson was surprised to find that his sixth sister, Margaret, who had been staying in the room and refused to go out, was also there. He held a thick stack of paper in her hand. She kept sizing him up and recording something on it. After greeting Watson, Edward's expression turned serious. He walked up to the astrologer and knelt on one knee respectfully. "Edward Gary, greetings to the senior astrologer. Thank you for sparing our Blackmoon castle." Edward's face turned solemn after he greeted Watson. He approached the astrologer and knelt respectfully on one knee. "Hello, I am Edward Gary, good day to you, Lord Astrologer. Thank you for protecting Blackmoon Castle." "Edward Gary? Edward Gary Saint Laurent. You're that brat who defected from the Saint Laurent family back then. I know you." After a few seconds of assessing Edward, the astrologer had an epiphany. His eyes glowed. "I haven't seen you in so many years, I almost did not recognize you. My memory has deteriorated as well. It is no surprise that Watson is so good. So he is your son. I would not have attacked if I had not known that Blackmoon Castle is yours. Let us get started. I have a question for you. Let us go somewhere private to talk." Chapter 163, A Beautiful Misunderstanding. "Lord Astrologer, please have some tea. We did have quite a lot of tea leaves at home, and they are stored in a nearby manor. Unfortunately, the manor was destroyed, and these are all we have left. Please kindly make do with them." Edward sat on the sofa and pushed a cup of tea toward the astrologer. He swept the dust off his shoulders. Even though Blackmoon Castle did not collapse from the battle, there were numerous cracks in the walls and ceiling. Dust would fall from the cracks even if there were a slight violent fluctuation. The astrologer did not drink because he was distracted by a few tea leaves floating in the teacup and the rising clouds. Instead, he said in a hushed tone, "I have not seen you in more than 10 years. You were a small child when I visited the Saint Laurent family. I recall the Saint Laurent family wanting to train you as their future heir. Why did you leave?" The Saint Laurent family was, without a doubt, one of the most powerful families in the kingdom. Let's not talk about what happened back then. Edward's face was solemn as if he recalled a painful past. Even if you do not mention it, I am guessing it was because the kingdom asked you to capture the Demonist Church's members. You abandoned your mission, or perhaps because the Saint Laurent family arranged a political marriage for you, and you were not happy. I recall the Phoenix family, also known as the Knight family, as the other party to your marriage. Their family's young lady is still unmarried and waiting for you." At that point, the astrologer sighed. A lot of things had happened in the kingdom 10 years ago. There was once a genius in the Saint Laurent family who was already a gold-tier warrior before they reached 20. The Saint Laurent family regarded that genius as their hope for the future. They believed that he could become a platinum-tier elite or even the next sword saint in his lifetime. The Saint Laurent family spent a lot of money and hired many teachers to train that genius, and one of them was the astrologer. However, he had already retired at that time. Furthermore, he was a mage, so he could not teach warrior knowledge. Therefore, he went to the Saint Laurent family and rejected that task. After that, he heard some news about how that genius had betrayed the Saint Laurent family and had his strength abolished. Yes, a lot of things had happened, indeed. Edward crossed his hands and laughed heartily. The past is in the past. Compared to the past, I prefer my current life. In the past, I lived with a noble family. I used to look down on commoners, thinking that their lives were hard and meaningless. It was not until I left the Saint Laurent family that I realized even if I did not become a noble, I could still live comfortably. I couldn't be happy until I was a little bitter. At the very least, commoners wouldn't be as cunning and dirty as the nobles. He was also a participant in the kingdom's uprising against the Demonist Church 10 years ago, so he was familiar with some issues. For example, the Demonist Church that the kingdom wanted to destroy was not an evil organization, and Queen Avril had been falsely accused. Many nobles used that chance to frame their enemies as the Demonist Church members to destroy them. The kingdom was once filled with rivers of blood. He was still a young man full of righteousness at that time. He returned to his family with a burning desire to question the Saint Laurent family's head at the time. In exchange, he was scolded and beaten, and a marriage contract was signed. The Saint Laurent family needed a strong ally to obtain greater benefits during the turmoil. Edward was discouraged by that approach. He was not a chess piece, he was a human. He would change himself if he could not change the world. He defected from the Saint Laurent family with that thought in mind. Edward could still remember those people who had died tragically 10 years ago. Many of those people died at his hands. Among them were the falsely accused Demonist church members. They were innocent. Edward could even remember the pitiful expressions of those who knelt on the ground and begged for mercy before they died. Lord Astrologer, are you not disappointed in the kingdom and the nobles? A country's fortunes will always rise and fall. Throughout history, more than 10 million countries have vanished. The Holy Dragon Kingdom cannot continue to exist indefinitely. Likewise, there will be no eternal nobles. There will always be conflicts of interest where there are men. There will be wars where there are conflicts. But, in my opinion, that is the nature of the world. It is impossible to have only the right things in life, just as it is impossible to have only the right people. And those are doomed to be drowned out by the passage of time. What I can do is to keep an eye on everything. I did not expect you to know so much about the world, Lord Astrologer. It would not be difficult for you to become a diamond-tier elite if you did not drink from the spring of life. Edward wore a respectful expression. That was right, human life was nothing more than a speck of dust in the grand scheme of things. Even if the dragon race lived for over 1,000 years, they were only a speck in history. Time would always move forward, and the past would be buried. I am curious, is there anything in the world you do not know? Of course, there are things that I don't know. The astrologer sighed and raised a finger to point at the sky. I know nothing about reincarnation. All right, let's not talk about cultivation. I am relieved to see that you are doing well now. Your life is now far more comfortable than it was previously. I can live the life I have now because of Watson. Speaking of Watson, I have something to discuss with you. The astrologer's face was slightly solemn. After the winter is over, the Royal Academy will begin recruiting new students for the following spring. Watson's talent is truly wasted here. The border is still too small. Why don't I bring him to the royal city? It is teeming with the kingdom's brightest minds. That is the stage where he would shine brightly. Perhaps there will be an opportunity for him to meet the elders from the Saint Laurent family. He is also a member of that bloodline. Regarding that matter, perhaps you can ask Watson's opinion on that. What is the problem, Edward? I recall you being a very opinionated person back then. Why have you become so weak? That child is too young to make an informed decision. Therefore, as parents, you will need to make a decision, right? Lord Astrologer, that isn't weakness, but respect. Edward stood up from the sofa. He said, I would like Watson to stay here because I used to be that kind of person. My children's happiness is the most important thing to me. If they want to live in that world, then I need them to be strong. I want the kids to grow up strong but not too powerful because that will get them into trouble. I also do not want Watson to become associated with the Saint Laurent family and become a tool for them. I would hate that. He had always allowed his children to make their own choices and had never regretted it. He hoped that every single one of his children would not have any regrets in their lives. I understand. The astrologer rose to his feet and nodded respectfully to Edward. Some people were willing to give up everything to uphold the justice that they feel in their hearts. Such people were more deserving of respect than those with great strength. He turned around and walked away. When the astrologer reached the door, he remembered what Watson had said to him. He said, "Oh, right. I forgot to tell you, Edward. I have been Watson's teacher for a long time. His current accomplishments are entirely the result of my efforts." After that, the astrologer left the living room, and Edward sat down weakly. Is that so? So, Watson's mysterious teacher is Lord Astrologer. I have always suspected that some powerful person has replaced him. I am a terrible father. Catherine's heart ached as she reached out to stroke Edward's hair. This is not your fault, Edward. Watson is too outstanding. Perhaps letting him go to the royal city is not a bad idea. With Lord Astrologer, nothing will happen. Catherine, don't try to persuade me. I have already decided on that matter. Watson must decide on his own. Catherine still had something to say, but it turned into a sigh that floated down the hall. Outside the door, the astrologer paused for a moment before he walked outside. He was ready to speak with Watson. He could understand Edward's feelings as a parent, but he did not want to see Watson's talent wasted at the border. Even though Watson's actions and words are mature, he is still a child. As long as he is a child, he should be unable to resist the allure of a new world. When the astrologer saw Watson, he was thinking about how to persuade him. Two maids from Blackmoon Castle walked past him at that precise moment. They bowed respectfully and left in hushed tones after they saw him. This is fantastic. Blackmoon Castle had just won another war. There will be more people in the family. They have even enlisted the help of a well-known figure. I believe Blackmoon Castle will come out on top. Young Master Watson's efforts are entirely responsible for Blackmoon Castle's victory. I really envy Master for having such a wonderful child. I will be happy if my future child is even a tenth as good as young Master Watson. Young Master Watson being so outstanding has nothing to do with the owner of Blackmoon Castle. I've heard that young Master Watson is the illegitimate child of a border count. Young Master Watson's brilliance has nothing to do with Blackmoon Castle's master. According to what I have heard, young Master Watson is the border count's illegitimate child. Who said that? Those from the Demonis bandit gang who had just joined us. I heard them discussing it secretly once. Young Master Watson is so exceptional because he's related to the border count, the strongest mage in the kingdom. Otherwise, how do you think young Master Watson became a gold-tier mage at such a young age? Even though the two maids did not speak loudly, the astrologer used his powerful strength to hear them. Was Watson the border count's child? Had Edward been duped? It was no surprise that when he said he wanted to bring Watson to the royal city, Edward had flatly refused him. He even refused to allow him to acknowledge the Saint Laurent family. It seemed like Watson was not a member of the Saint Laurent family in any way. The more he thought about it, the more convinced he became that it was the case. The astrologer turned around and called out to the two maids who had not gone far. Stop right there, both of you, and repeat what you had just said to me. Chapter 164, Collective Promotion. So that's the reason. Watson is Sylvan's illegitimate child, and he's kept in Blackmoon Castle. The astrologer watched as the two maids left. A thoughtful expression appeared on his face. He had carefully inquired about what the two maids had said. According to the two maids, Watson was the border count's illegitimate child. It was not a groundless accusation. Previously, more than 10 manor owners had besieged Blackmoon Castle, and the border count had dispatched a gold-tier elite to assist him. The guards in the mansion had the potential to become silver-tier elites, and they had also received guidance from that gold-tier elite. Furthermore, Blackmoon Castle and the border count were on friendly terms. Watson had earlier stated that he wished to flatter the border count. According to the maids, Blackmoon Town's establishment was due to the border count's contributions. That little fellow, Sylvain, I've never heard of him having a wife. Could it be that he secretly married and had children in a place that the old man doesn't know about? But why did he foster his child with someone else? Could it be that he did not want the kingdom to find out? I did not know that Sylvain had a wife. Was he secretly married and had children somewhere that I did not know? But why did he place his child in the care of someone else? Did he not want the kingdom to find out? That was a possibility. He was well aware that the border count's relationship with the monarch had always been strained because of Avril. If His Majesty discovered that his child was so gifted, he would be suspicious and send assassins after them. The astrologer sighed. He did not doubt the maids because it was illogical to say that Watson was the border count's child unless they were not afraid of the border count's revenge. Of course, he did not blindly believe it, he needed to find Sylvan to confirm the details. It's been a long time since I've seen Sylvan. It's good to get an opportunity to visit him. Since Sylvan was his former disciple, he thought that the man would be honest with him. He needed to pay for a lot of resources to repair Blackmoon Castle. Even if he had a lot of money, it would not be enough to build a town. It would have been wiser to question Sylvan about such details. A son paid a father's debt, and a disciple paid a master's debt. He and Sylvan had been a family for a long time. Since he had accepted Watson as his disciple, they were even closer. After he made up his mind, the astrologer smiled and left the corridor to the castle's hall. Watson was in the hall, he was rewarding the Blackmoon knights who had been injured in the battle. All of you have performed very well in that battle, so I will give each of you a phoenix egg and a sun or moon gem as a reward. The phoenix egg is not enough for now, so it will be distributed tomorrow. You can choose one of the sun and moon gems. Young Master Watson, what are those two gems? A guard asked curiously. Good question. Watson chuckled and extended his right hand. Green vines wriggled out of his right palm. On the vines, there were gold red or milky white gemstones that sparkled and emitted a rich fragrance. There were 99 of them. The moment those shiny fruits appeared, the light in the room was suppressed. Many of the Blackmoon knights stared at the gemstone in Watson's hands, exclaiming in amazement. When Watson had fused with the World Tree's shadow, a peak platinum tier tool, to condense the fruits, many of the Blackmoon riders were recuperating in their mansions, so they did not know about it. Many of the Blackmoon knights exclaimed in awe as they peered at the jewels in Watson's hands. Many of them were resting in their mansions when Watson fused with the World Tree's shadow, a peak platinum tier item, to grow the fruits. The sun and moon gemstones are fruits grown from the World Tree. They only grow once every 1,000 years. Consuming the former will allow you to reach the gold tier and awaken your light elemental cultivation talent. Consuming the latter will also allow you to reach the gold tier and obtain the ability to cultivate the dark elemental combat aura. Is he for real? The entire audience erupted as soon as Watson's voice faded. They had no idea there was such a mystical treasure in the world that could instantaneously transform one into a gold tier warrior. They also did not expect Watson's willingness to give such a valuable gem for everyone to enjoy. Young Master Watson, the Blackmoon Knights did not annihilate the enemy in the battle. On the contrary, we were injured and had squandered the majority of the herbs in the castle. It is already a good thing that you did not chastise us. How could we possibly desire such a treasure? We are too embarrassed to accept it. With a solemn expression on his face, Vice Captain List stood out among the Blackmoon Knights. As soon as he finished speaking, a member of the Blackmoon Knights nodded and stated, "The Vice Captain is right. We can't take such a treasure. Young Master Watson, you should keep those fruits for those who have contributed more to Blackmoon Castle." Alan was also present. He swallowed his saliva as he glanced at the two types of gems. He finally turned his head away with incredible difficulty. He was the type of person who craved recognition and acclaim. However, he had no intention of accepting the reward. He knew that many of his fellow knights had lost their arms and legs during the combat with the astrologer. Watson had dispatched men to bring the medical herbs in the castle, ranging from bronze to gold tiers. That was why they were able to heal so swiftly. He also noticed that some of their long silver armor was worn, and their silver longswords were damaged. Those weapons and herbs were worth tens of thousands of dollars in gold coins. Watson did not pursue the losses, and he even wanted to praise them, which made Alan feel a little embarrassed. As the captain of the guards, he had failed to protect his subordinates and did not fulfill his duty as their captain. Watson had spent the most effort in grooming him. He was really a good-for-nothing. "Do you still remember what I told you before the battle?" Watson looked around. When everyone's attention was on him, he continued to say, I said that the Blackmoon Knight's only mission in that battle was to protect the people in the castle from harm. I want to ask, was anyone injured in that battle? No. Sparse voices came from all around him. Speak up. No, young Master Watson. In an instant, the voices from all around him became uniform, like thunder. Since no one was injured, it proves that you've all completed the mission perfectly. That means that I should reward you. That is the rule I've set. If it's a rule, then you must obey it. If you continue to refuse, then take your things and scram. Blackmoon Castle doesn't need people who don't follow orders. Watson's words were loud and clear. The Blackmoon Knights looked at each other with tears in their eyes, and then they knelt respectfully. We accept the reward, young Master Watson. The men vowed to protect Blackmoon Castle with their life after they had grown stronger. That's right. A smile appeared on Watson's face again. He used the branches of the world tree that spread out from his skin to deliver the gemstones to the Blackmoon cavalrymen. You can choose for yourselves. Watson's face brightened once more. He delivered the gemstones to the Blackmoon Knights via the world tree branches that sprouted from his flesh. You can decide for yourself. Alan gritted his teeth and reached out to touch the golden sun gemstone first. He changed his mind and reached out to touch the moon gemstone. List, who was beside him, paused for a time before he selected the moon gemstone as well. The other Blackmoon Knights made their selections, one after the other. Almost all of them went with the moon gemstone. All of the gems were soon distributed. The moon gemstones were chosen by the first 50 Blackmoon Knights, whereas Lucas and the other 15 people who joined afterward had chosen the sun gemstones. They did not choose the sun gemstones, not because the stones did not look good, but because they were with the Blackmoon Knights. They were closer to the moon, so it was more symbolic for them to take the moon gemstones. The men who took the sun gemstones looked a little regretful, but soon the grief on their faces was replaced by ecstasy. After they took the gemstone, a violent power surged in their bodies and made them emit the aura of a gold-tier warrior. The wings on their back spread wide and shone brightly. Whoosh! Whoosh! The hall continued to reverberate with the sound of combat aura wings flapping. The 50 people had jet-black fighting aura wings on their backs that resembled the dark moon, whereas the other 15 people had the sun's radiance. Black and white light and shadow intersected. All 65 Blackmoon Knights stood up at the same time and disappeared. They appeared in front of Watson with their backs straight and their faces filled with pride. Teleportation that was the symbol of a gold-tier warrior. Dozens of gold-tier auras mixed and spread out in all directions like waves. It caused the entire castle to shake. That power was enough to sweep through everything at the border. Previously, they were only known as the Blackmoon Knights, but at that moment, they were truly the Blackmoon Knights. They were both the black that covered the sky and the moon that pierced through the heavy clouds. Chapter 165, Please refer to my master. Watson nodded, satisfied, as he looked at the 65 Blackmoon Knights in front of him. He could see an invincible army sweeping across the land and conquering cities in the future. The original group of Blackmoon Knights consisted of 50 Silver-tier warriors and 15 peak Bronze-tier elites. Their strength had increased dozens of times as they had advanced to Gold-tier because they had consumed the Rainbow Phoenix chicken eggs all year round. Those Blackmoon Knights had only recently entered the Gold-tier, and their strength was no longer equivalent to that of an ordinary Gold-tier warrior. Not to mention that each of them held 2 distinct forms of combat aura that they could develop further. Those who possessed 2 forms of combat aura cultivation talent might be referred to as geniuses throughout the world. Any one of the Blackmoon Knights would be enough to shock the world. All the gemstones have been distributed now. I have another compensation for all of you. Watson waved his hand and put away the remaining 34 sun gemstones as he spoke in a clear voice. There was another compensation? All the Blackmoon Knights looked excited. It was already a huge reward for them to become Gold-tier warriors. They did not know what kind of compensation Watson would give them. They had already become somewhat numb due to the continuous surprises. When you reach the gold tier, you can consider yourself to have crossed the threshold of strength. The training I offered in the past is no longer appropriate. I am going to introduce a new system now. You will now assist in the restoration of Blackmoon Town. After the town is rebuilt, I will give every one of you a manor, especially Alan, List, and William. You already had one, but it was destroyed in the battle. I will give you special compensation. Watson's gaze fell on Alan and the other two at the front of the crowd. When they felt his attention, the three of them exclaimed, "Yes, sir." Then, they stepped out with delighted expressions on their faces. They were willing to air Blackmoon Town's restoration for free, let alone for a reward. As a special reward for you, after the town is completed, my master, Lord Astrologer, will go to your manor and stay for a week. You can study under him. If you are lucky, you might even be able to benefit from my master. Thank you, young Master Watson. Alan and the other two were increasingly ecstatic. They knew all about the astrologer. He was the most knowledgeable mage in the history of the kingdom. Even though he was a mage, he had to have certain clandestine techniques for honing his combat aura. It was more than enough to steer them in the right direction. The rest of the Blackmoon Knights were envious of the three of them. At that point, they heard Watson say, "Another policy that I would like to implement is the points system. You can now venture out on your own and do quests such as capturing magical monsters, harvesting medical herbs, and so on. By turning them to the castle, you can exchange them for points. Gold coins and points can be traded, 1 for 1. Not only did the castle spend a significant quantity of medicinal herbs in the previous battle, but greed had also utilized the money enhancement spell to help save people, depleting the gold coins kept in the castle. Blackmoon Castle would need to gather those materials again. When the Blackmoon Knights handed the items, they could determine their points by calculating the value of the items. For instance, if Alan had items that were worth 1,000 gold coins, then he could get 1,000 points. At first glance, that process of conversion was evident. The worth of each Blackmoon Knight was also clearly apparent. The points are calculated every month. The individual with the most points will earn more benefits. The points can be exchanged for anything, including resources, the opportunity to be guided by elites, vacations, and even becoming the captain of the Blackmoon Knights. There is nothing that one can't do with the points. The implementation of the points system might not only pique the interest of those Blackmoon Knights, but it might also free up resources for Blackmoon Castle. Most crucially, those Blackmoon Knights would be bound to the castle as they could only spend their points within Blackmoon Castle. They would have little desire to spend money elsewhere. It was a plan that could kill several birds with one stone. "Yes, young Master Watson!" The Blackmoon Knights all yelled at the same time. Their voices were more audible than before. Everyone was thinking about going out and obtaining resources in exchange for more points to show their worth. Alan had always been the Blackmoon Knights captain and had never been replaced. That was because Alan had joined the Blackmoon Knights the earliest and was the strongest. It was a different situation then. As long as they did more, they would have the chance to become the leader. The more they paid, the higher they could climb. Young Master Watson was a generous and fair man. That is all I have to say about that. You can ask my master for the resources needed to repair Blackmoon Town. My master is a mage of the highest level. He could cast Skyfall, an earth elemental spell, casually. The ideal materials for rebuilding the city walls are meteorites that have fallen to the ground. He also has the platinum tier water elemental spell to grow the herbs quicker. You can also seek out my master for other purposes, such as asking him to go to the Misty Forest to capture magical monsters. I am solely interested in how many items you can hand over. I do not care how you got them as long as you do not kill or set fire to others and do not deceive others within the bounds of morality. However, before the Blackmoon Knights could get excited, an ancient voice echoed, "Hey, Watson, you little b*****, How could you con your master like that? Do you think I am not busy enough? The astrologer walked out from behind the crowd and glared at Watson angrily. He had initially thought that Watson's idea of devising a strategy for the Blackmoon Knights was excellent and might be useful in managing the army. He did not expect Watson to shift the blame onto him entirely. If he did not say anything then, Watson would have to pay for the consequences. Master, you're here. Watson pretended to be cute. Even though your attack on the Blackmoon Castle was just a test, you've damaged that place, after all. It's only right for you to do something for everyone. As a Platinum Tier mage, you won't shirk your responsibility, right? The astrologer's face began to twitch. Watson had deliberately said that in front of everyone. Out of respect, he could not refuse. Watson could not have done it on purpose, right? No, he must have done it on purpose. The astrologer's face twitched. Watson had deliberately said that in front of everyone. Out of respect, he could not refuse. Watson could not possibly have done it on purpose, could he? Yes, he must have done it on purpose. I understand. I shall help rebuild the castle. You heard it, everyone. If you need anything, please refer to my master. If you encounter something you don't understand, please refer to my master. If you have a cold, fever, or any emotional problems, please refer to my master, Watson announced loudly, unblinking. He had deliberately said that because he had seen the astrologer lurking behind the crowd. The astrologer had lived for hundreds of years, so he must have many good items in his hands. If he were to ask his subordinates to go out and look for resources, they might not be able to find many good things. He might as well take them from the astrologer. No, he wanted them. Thank you, Lord Astrologer. Lord Astrologer is too generous. The Blackmoon Knights took the opportunity to express their gratitude. Watson, that's enough. Who do you think I am? The astrologer could not bear it anymore. He could tolerate Watson's first few requests, but the last one that meant he would have to consult those people on emotional problems. There were dozens of them, how hard would it be for him? I've always treated you as my dear and respectable master. Watson turned his head in puzzlement. And I haven't finished. From now on, I'll leave the security of my family to you. After all, winter is coming soon, and the magical beasts will escape from the misty forest. Blackmoon Castle won't be able to stop them. And the two magical beasts I raised, the Golden Flash and Emperor Cluck, are also injured because of you. Please take care of them. Shut up. Are you done? I'm not your master. No, I don't have a disciple like you, and that's not right. Ah, you brat, you're really pissing me off. The astrologer was so enraged that he could hardly think straight. Watson certainly did not regard him as a master, rather, he regarded him as a tool, a nanny, a bodyguard, and a mythical beast. He was not even that tired when he helped the late king conquer over lands. He regretted taking Watson as his disciple. Chapter 166, The Astrologer's Gift. It had been 2 days since the Mage Guild had taken over the Blackmoon Castle. Work harder. That is the last area. I will try to clear out that manor before the end of the day and bring back the meteorite fragments. Alan commanded the Blackmoon Knights from in front of the ruined walls of a house. The manor he was staying in was formerly a part of Blackmoon Town. It was smashed by a meteorite and burned to ashes 2 days ago due to the astrologer's spell. Scorched marks could be seen everywhere. The ground was riddled with large pits. There were broken beams and fragments of the walls in the pits. They ignored those. Their target was the meteorite that stretched hundreds of meters above the ruins. The astrologer, who had performed a platinum-tier earth elemental spell, summoned the meteorite from the sky. There were ring-shaped patterns on it, shining with a platinum-colored light. There were more than 10 manors near Blackmoon Castle. Most of the meteorites have been cleared and excavated in the past 2 days. Only the last manners had not been removed. Haha! Under Alan's order, a man who looked like a giant bear appeared in front of the meteorites and punched them out fiercely. His fist landed on the meteorites with a thick combat aura. With a muffled bang, a bottomless pit was formed, long snake-like cracks spread in the surroundings, causing the meteorites to break into pieces. At that moment, the Blackmoon Knights opened their arms and carried the broken meteorites toward the direction of Blackmoon Castle. After 2 days, those Blackmoon Knights who had reached the gold tier were all full of vigor and vitality. In 2 days, the hybrid phoenix, Emperor Cluck, had laid about 200 phoenix eggs. Aside from Lucas and the others who had already consumed the phoenix eggs, Watson also gave the other 50 Blackmoon Knights a phoenix egg each. Out of the 200 phoenix eggs, there were only 150 left. Meanwhile, the strength of the Blackmoon Knights had improved by leaps and bounds compared to 2 days ago. One of the Blackmoon Knights was responsible for transporting the meteorite fragments weighing over 10,000 K, and he did it with one hand. There were 3 pairs of combat aura wings on his back. It included a pair of sky blue water elemental combat aura wings wrapped in lightning, a pair of black dark elemental combat aura wings, which were deep and black, and a pair of phoenix wings. The 3 pairs of wings with different colors were exceptionally gorgeous. The Blackmoon Knight looked like an angel who had descended from the divine realm. He held the meteorite with one hand and did not seem to be struggling at all. Gorman has transported a meteorite. I'll give you 1 point. You now have a total of 10 points. Alan, the person in command, took out a small notebook from his pocket and recorded something. Thank you, Captain Alan. The man named Gorman nodded to Alan. May I inquire how much of a difference there is between myself and the individual with the most points? His name was Gorman. He used to be a bronze tier guard at Wilbur List Manor. He excelled at using water elemental combat aura to generate lightning. He was known as the Blue Lightning. He was arranged to transport meteorites due to his quick speed. That task was worth 1 gold coin, which was worth 1 point as well. Watson was the one who determined the monetary value of the position. He had already transported 8 meteorites in the past 2 days. He questioned Alan, who flicked over a few pages of notes and answered, "Currently, the person with the most points is List. He has 20 points. It will be difficult for you to surpass him." 20 points? That's precisely twice what I have. Gorman was a little disappointed. He spotted a handsome warrior in silver armor with 3 pairs of combat aura wings on his back as he peered into the distance. They included dark elemental, wind elemental, and phoenix wings. As he flew across the skies, he carried an entire meteorite. He was traveling pretty quickly in the direction of Blackmoon Castle. Gorman had previously been fond of his moniker Green Lightning. For one to be compared to lightning was already a high accolade for a bronze tier warrior. It was not until he entered Blackmoon Castle that he understood that his talent was insignificant. Everyone there was a monster. Break! The gigantic bear-like man had just smashed a meteorite not far away. He destroyed another meteorite with his palm the size of a cattail leaf fan and shattered it. As expected of William, the other Blackmoon Knights exclaimed. He is only a gold tier warrior, but he has the strength to smash a platinum tier rock. Such strength is very admirable. Monstrous bear. William was the only man amongst the Blackmoon Knights with the strength of more than 100,000 K. People said that he could lift a small mountain with his full strength. After all, the meteorite that the astrologer summoned was from platinum tier magic. It was only when one's attack reached the pinnacle of gold tier that one could break it. Only he could do it among all the Blackmoon Knights. The reward for breaking a meteorite was also 1 point, but it was much easier than moving it. There was also the vice-captain, List, known as the Breath of the Wild Wind. His pace was as quick as the wind among the Blackmoon Knights. When he was not carrying heavy loads, his speed was comparable to that of sound. Finally, there was Alan. As the captain of the Blackmoon Knights, his overall strength was the strongest, and he was in charge of command. That job had a 10-point reward. Gorman sighed inwardly. He could not compete with William in terms of strength, and he could not compete with Alan in terms of intelligence. The only thing he could commend was his speed, but he was also a long way from List. He lowered his head to gaze in the mirror. His entire body was encased in lightning, and each step he made left a deep, burnt pit on the ground. He was not fatigued, but he was not moving rapidly either. After all, a 10,000 catty weight was no trivial matter. He had to acknowledge that he was not the type of person who would settle for being average. He had worked hard to earn the captain title at Wilbur List Manor in the past. When he first joined Blackmoon Castle, he was primarily interested in the castle's resources. However, after a few battles, he had utterly treated that place as his home. If there were one person that he admired and deserved his lifelong service, it would be Watson. It was precisely for that reason that he desired to get stronger and share some of his strength. "Young man, looking at your sad face, is there something troubling you?" An elderly voice called out from the side. Gorman whirled around to see the astrologer stroking his white beard as he snuck up upon him. "Greetings, Lord Astrologer." Gorman bowed his head respectfully. "No need to be polite. Let me ask you, are you worried that you are not as good as the other Blackmoon Iron Cavalries? There is no need to be courteous. Are you worried that you are not as good as the other Blackmoon Knights? How do you know?" Gorman was surprised. The astrologer looked as if he had seen everything. "Don't you know how many years I've lived? I can tell you that it's not that you're not strong enough, it's just that you haven't found the right way to use it. Water and lightning elements have a superior characteristic explosion. Have you ever seen a lightning strike in the sky? Even though it's fast, it's fleeting." "Lord Astrologer, you mean?" "My meaning is very simple. You don't need to compete with others in terms of speed. You can't compete with the wind that lasts for a long time or a mountain of rocks that stand on the ground. But you still have your advantages." The astrologer stretched his right hand outward, and a streak of lightning extended from his palm. It wriggled and weaved into a card. A mage in a moon-white robe was depicted on the card. He held an olive branch in the shape of a lightning bolt. The olive branch was twined with two snakes that had turned against each other. His left hand pointed to the sky, and his right hand pointed to the ground. Roses and lilies bloomed under his feet as a long river meandered under his feet. "I am a mage. I don't know much about warrior training, but all professions are the same in the end. Lightning is short-lived. It's precisely because it's short-lived that it can erupt with unparalleled power. In my hand, I have a gold tier item called the Mage card, which teases fate. On it is a picture of the god Hermes, who once stole lightning. It embodies the pure essence of the lightning element's power. You should strive to comprehend it well." The astrologer flung forth the gorgeous lightning card with a casual swish of his arm. The card became a lightning bolt and wrapped around Gorman's right palm to form a lightning-shaped seal. Lightning is instantaneous. It is powerful because it is short. Gorman's eyes lit up as he murmured the astrologer's words. Yes, he had always misunderstood lightning. He had always assumed that lightning represented speed, but it did not. Lightning truly exemplifies explosive power. As he understood it, a large amount of information regarding the usage of lightning elemental combat aura entered his mind. It caused him to touch the incantation mark on his right hand subconsciously. Bang! His body transformed into a deformed lightning bolt abruptly and vanished with a muted sound. When he reappeared, he was already 1,000 meters away. Chapter 167, The Astrology Tarot Cards. A gold tier item, a mage's card that teases fate. Effect: increases speed by 100% and resists attacks from gold tier elites. Additional effects: teleportation amplification, only effective on gold tier warriors, increases teleportation distance by 10 times, activated by a touch spell. Lightning path: a lightning path will be left behind with damages where teleportation passes. Additional skills: Thunder God's descent, gathers the power of thunder, summons the lightning in the sky, condenses into a huge thunder god projection to attack the enemy. The duration is only 1 second, but it can unleash power comparable to a peak gold tier elite. I understand that it is lightning. Gorman, who was standing 1,000 meters away, was dazed when he grabbed the massive meteorite. An average gold tier warrior could teleport a distance of 100 meters, but he had traveled about 1,000 meters in an instant. Even though it was due to the influence of the Mage's card, it was also due to his comprehension. Lightning was not as rapid as a storm in terms of speed. He could only travel for an instant if he traveled across the continent in a day. However, the speed of that instant was faster than all of them. Even without the Mage's card, he was confident that he could teleport 1,000 meters in one go. However, the energy consumption was far greater than the energy consumption of the Mage's card. Thank you, Lord Astrologer, for your teaching and gift. Gorman wanted to thank the astrologer, but there was no one behind him. The astrologer was nowhere to be seen. Gorman pursed his lips excitedly and bowed respectfully at where the astrologer had been standing. 2 days ago, Watson had indicated that if they ran into any problems, they could seek out the astrologer, and that was what he had said. However, they were guards, and the astrologer was someone prominent. How could they summon the confidence to make that request? Surprisingly, the astrologer had taken the initiative to track him down. The astrologer most likely did not appreciate his talent and did not favor him, but he abided by the arrangement with Watson. It seemed that they had to thank young Master Watson. With that thought, Gorman stood up. The spell that touched his right hand once again turned into a distorted electric light and traveled 1,000 meters away. After a few moments, he transformed back into an electric light and continued to flash as he hurried toward the Blackmoon castle. Not bad. He understood what I meant in an instant. He's a talented kid. After Gorman left, the astrologer appeared on the spot and stroked his beard with gratification. As Gorman had suspected, the reason he assisted him was due to Watson's request. However, after he learned that Gorman was so knowledgeable, he was eager to educate him. He muttered, "I wonder where Watson got so many talents. His fortune is unfathomably good. Gorman will reach the platinum tier in his lifetime if he continues to train like this." Oh, yes. Watson is Sylvan's illegitimate son, I almost forgot about that. Sylvan must have shared those abilities with him. According to his observations, many of the gold tier guards in Blackmoon Castle had the potential to achieve platinum tier. People were taken aback by only one gold tier guard. If all of those people reached the platinum tier, they would be able to compete with the entire kingdom. Even the astrologer would not dare to predict such a future. Although that brat, Watson, is very deceptive toward his master, accepting him as a disciple may be the best move I have ever made. The astrologer continued to sigh. A genuinely strong person needed to be tough not only for themselves but also for the people around them. Those young men are working so hard, so I can't just sit still. I should check if others are still worried about their newly increased gold tier strength. Then, I can point them in the right direction. An average genius would need more than 10 years to become a gold tier elite. It only took a few years for those Blackmoon Knights to advance from bronze to gold tier. In certain situations, their power might rise too quickly, perhaps in a few months, and they would not be able to control it. The second person that the astrologer chose to help was William. "Young man, take a look at how you utilized raw force to break the meteorite I summoned. Does your palm not ache? That is not how power is wielded. Allow me to show you how to use your true power. You have the potential to grow even stronger. Also, I have a golden chariot card here, which I will give to you." Among the envious stares of the Blackmoon Knights, the astrologer presented William with a card that depicted a golden chariot pulled by 4 unicorns. The chariot was covered in a large canopy, and there were long spears on each side of the chariot. It was magnificent. List, wait a moment. Don't be too busy with the meteorite. Your mastery of the wind elemental combat aura is flawed. Let me teach you. True wind is not only reflected in speed but also concealment. I have a gold tier tool here, the lonely hidden card. I hope you can use it well. Young man, you have amazing bone structure, perfect for training. I have a Libra card that wields justice. Do you want it? You, and you, come here for a moment. The astrologer spent 2 hours distributing 23 golden cards. After the Blackmoon Knights had finished moving the meteorite, they went to him and gazed at him longingly. Even though there were only 23 cards, the astrologer instructed everyone. Those who received the tools appeared ecstatic. Those who did not receive the tools were envious, but they were also pleased with the improvement in their combat strength. The astrologer then dismissed the Blackmoon Knights and sat alone atop the crumbled hill. Phew, I'm so tired. I left in a hurry and did not bring much. I have given them everything I have. The astrologer appeared to be in anguish as he murmured. He did not usually bring many items with him, so the tools he brought were of the highest quality. He had distributed 23 cards. They were all created after he spent all those years in the Temple of the Stars. He had specially sent people to create them after he had sensed the stars. He called that set of cards the Astrologer Tarot cards. Since ancient times, astrology had been practiced throughout the kingdom. The ancient gods were supposed to be too powerful to survive in that land, so they split the space and went to another domain, which was the stars. The gods lived in the stars, and each galaxy symbolized a god. Just like the sequence of 2 mage cards that he had given Gorman, which depicted the constellation Scorpius and Hermes, the messenger god. Even if the gods did not exist in that world, they still left their faith and influence. The 23 cards represented the vast majority of the stars in that world. He could predict the destiny of the kingdom and avoid tragedies by studying the sky. That was also the origin of his astrological moniker. Lord Astrologer, you've taught me for a long time, and we've worked hard. Here is the tea that I've just brewed. Please try it. At that moment, Alan came over with a cup of hot tea. He brought it in front of the astrologer respectfully with both hands. As he looked at Alan, the astrologer downed the drink in one gulp. He said, "The taste is not bad. Young man, what can I do for you?" Lord Astrologer, you have distributed cards to many of us. I want to ask if you can give me one too. Alan rubbed his hands, he looked embarrassed. He did not get a card from the astrologer. List, the vice-captain, had one as well. Others had obtained gold tier items, but he had not. If that were to continue, he would lose his post as captain of the guards. That is all I have, I've given everything away. If you don't have one, then it only means that you are not destined to have one. As soon as the astrologer finished speaking, Alan knelt on the ground and hugged the astrologer's thigh with snot and tears. No, Lord Astrologer. In terms of talent and strength, I'm not inferior to others. Furthermore, I work hard. I've always been the captain of the guards at Blackmoon Castle. If one of my former subordinates surpassed me, it would be too shameful. I don't want that. Furthermore, if I don't become the captain of the guards, I'll definitely disappoint young Master Watson. If young Master Watson is disappointed, then he'll feel uncomfortable. If he feels uncomfortable, then he won't be in the mood to train. If he can't train, he won't be able to become stronger. If he can't become stronger, he'll embarrass you. Alan's words were endless. The astrologer had an impatient expression on his face as he nervously removed a card from his pocket and said, "Very well, very well. I have one last card here. It is the first and last of the cards, the Fool of Origins card. I have wanted to leave it to Watson, but I'll give it to you. Don't bug me again." Chapter 168, God's Descent. Master, why did you give gold tier items to others but not to me? Are you not concerned about me, your most adorable disciple? I am your disciple. If you gave items to the Blackmoon Knights and allowed them to surpass me, would not I lose face as their master? I don't want that. As a leader, if my subordinates surpass me, I will disappoint them. If I disappoint my subordinates, I will feel bad. If I feel bad, I won't be able to eat. If I can't eat, I won't be in the mood to train. If I can't train, I won't be able to become stronger. If I can't become stronger, I will embarrass you. Watson winked at the astrologer as he spoke in a coquettish tone. The astrologer was speechless. Just as I expected, a master is the same as his subordinates. Why would you say the same thing as your captain? They were back in Blackmoon Castle. The astrologer had returned there after he had distributed his gold tier tools. He wanted to tell Watson that he had already instructed the Blackmoon Knights according to the requirements. In return, Watson would have to cultivate properly. However, he felt a headache coming on after he heard Watson's statements. He had distributed all the high-quality items he had on him, there was nothing left for Watson. I don't care. Since you have given them gold tier items, then you'll have to give me one too. Watson shook the astrologer's hand. I don't want much either, Master, you can give me an ordinary gold tier item. An ordinary gold tier tool? A platinum tier tool was the most valuable thing in the world. There were only a few, followed by gold tier tools. Many great nobles were qualified to equip it. He was already wealthy enough to have 24 gold cards on him at all times. Why was Watson displeased? Well, I don't have any gold tier tools on me now. As compensation, I'll teach you something. He had planned to teach Watson 2 spells in a week, but looking at the situation, if he did not give Watson some benefits, Watson would not give up. He would have to make an exception and teach Watson another spell. With that thought, the astrologer extended his right index finger and gently touched Watson's forehead. Many memories rolled into Watson's mind. Platinum tier special magic, astrology, observe the stars and predict your future and others' future within a certain period. Can only make a simple prediction and obtain high-tier astrology knowledge and the production method of the astrology tarot cards. High-tier astrology knowledge, can distinguish directions and can make related items. Astrology tarot card, can use the world tree's branches as the trump card to attract the radiance of the stars. The image of a god will be depicted on it, obtaining power comparable to that of a gold tier elite. As knowledge surged into his mind, a mysterious universe faintly appeared in Watson's mind. Stars floated in it. Then, they shattered, exploded, and grew again. It contained countless amounts of knowledge, it squeezed his brain cells. It made his brain hurt, and his soul felt like it was about to be ejected from his body. At that moment, the sound of a system notification sounded. Some knowledge can be fused astrology and the production method of the astrology tarot cards. Would you like to fuse them? Fuse. Watson elected to fuse them after he squeezed out a bit of strength and endured the pain. Congratulations, Master, for a successful fusion. You have obtained a platinum tier special spell, God's Descent. Use the tarot cards that you have created to fuse with your own body, and you can temporarily summon the power of a god, unleashing the power of a platinum tier elite. The knowledge in Watson's mind settled after a successful fusion. He had accumulated many years of knowledge, which made his eyes profound. He no longer had the naivety of a child, he was wiser. The astrologer glanced at him nervously while he was fusing the knowledge. The astrologer was well aware of the breadth of knowledge he had conveyed to him. An ordinary person's head would explode if they accepted so much information so suddenly. Watson would not have dared to do so if it had not been for his monstrous talent. He relaxed and heaved a sigh of relief when he noticed Watson was all right after acquiring such a large amount of knowledge. Sure enough, his disciple did not let him down. I keep getting the impression that the knowledge my master has imparted to me is strangely familiar. After he settled down and felt the sense of familiarity, Watson thought for a bit and suddenly remembered where it had originated. There was something called tarot cards in the realm he had been transmigrated. He had done extensive research on mysticism because he was fascinated by that. There were 24 tarot cards, and each card had its own meaning. They were the mage, the priestess, the queen, the emperor, and the fool card that was really in the middle. The entire set of tarot cards depicted things that the fool encountered in his life journey. The tarot cards represented not only fate but also life. The tarot cards in that world were very similar to the ones in his previous life. The astrologer's knowledge of astrology bequeathed to him was essentially the same as his previous life's knowledge. He could make items like star compasses and binoculars. He would never get lost with that information, and he could play essential roles in specific sectors. Apart from that, a complete star map corresponding to that world appeared in his mind. It included the Scorpio constellation that corresponded to the Mage card and the Virgo constellation represented by the Priestess card. Isn't that the 12 zodiac signs? Perhaps this world had some connection with my previous world. Most of the stars in that world were new to him, but there were some familiar galaxies as well. Watson pondered that in his heart. Ever since he transmigrated to that world, he had never thought about how to get back. Well, that was when he was only a down-and-out baron's 8th child. He did not have enough to eat, so how could he think about that? Everything had changed, he had grown more powerful. Perhaps in the future, he would have a way to find his way back, or he might never be able to go back. However, he was excited to know that the world was connected to his original home. Watson calmed himself down and began to research on how to construct tarot cards. The tarot cards were made with only 2 materials. One was the world tree's branches, and the other was the radiance of the stars. Those were initially quite stringent requirements. After all, the world tree could only be found in the southern elves' forest, and the star's brightness could only be activated by light elemental magic. Coincidentally, he had the world tree's shadow, a peak platinum tier tool, and could create branches of the world tree at any time and place. He was also very good at light elemental magic. The card-making method was tailor-made for him. As Watson attempted to create the Star Tarot card and test out the freshly fused platinum tier magic gods descend, he overheard the astrologer say, "Watson, astrology is a vast and profound science that has been passed down through generations. It has now evolved into a complete system as a result of my modifications. This is even more difficult than platinum tier mage skills. I will give you a month to learn it, you must study diligently." He had planned to teach Watson that knowledge in a few years. Watson had compressed that time because he could study platinum tier magic in an instant. Watson, presumably, would not be able to learn such things in a month. Watson had always been quick to pick up new skills from him. Even if he did not say it aloud, he was deeply mortified in his heart. However, that was different. If Watson were unable to learn it, he would have to seek the astrologer's counsel. The old man could then demonstrate his authority as a master. The astrologer brushed his beard with a smirk that indicated he had devised a plan. Suddenly, he heard Watson exclaim, "Master, I have learned it in less than a month." His smile froze on his face. "Watson, are you sure you have learned it? Don't lie to me." "Of course not. If Master does not believe me, I will show you now." Watson opened his right hand as he spoke, and a branch of the world tree squirmed out of his palm. The branch snapped and squirmed into a wooden card. A bright star in the sky suddenly pierced through the heavy clouds, and light descended. The card depicted a god holding an olive branch. It was the first mage card. Then, the card turned into a stream of light and fused into his body. It gave him a layer of holy light. It was not only his clothes that were changed, he was also changed. His hair was dyed silver, like twisted bolts of lightning. His eyes had also turned white, mysterious and winding runes had appeared on his body. At that moment, the aura he emitted was different from that of a human. Instead, it was very similar to the mythical creatures of the dragon race and the phoenix. A lightning-shaped starlight olive branch appeared in his hand. Suddenly, dark clouds covered the sky, and bolts of lightning fell and encircled him. Each lightning bolt struck the ground and flowered into a gorgeous thunder flower. It caused the earth to tremble. Watson, you actually learned how to make star tarot cards. Also, why are the tarot cards you made different from the ones I taught you? The astrologer widened his eyes. You can't be. After the power of God entered his body, Watson, who had transformed into a mythical creature, turned around with a solemn expression. That's right, Master. Just as you thought, I've absorbed the knowledge you gave me and made some modifications. Are you satisfied? Watson, who had transformed into a mythological creature once the power of God entered his body, turned around solemnly. You are right, Master. I've absorbed the knowledge you gave me and made some modifications. Are you pleased? Chapter 169, The New Blackmoon Castle. What happened? The moment Watson cast the God's Descent spell, the entire Blackmoon Castle began to shake. People near the area came out of their tents and looked at the dark clouds in the sky in surprise. The sky was clear just a moment ago, but heavy clouds obscured it after that. The heavy rolling clouds were like the sea's pitch-black surface. It made people wonder if they would plummet at any minute. Hundreds of thousands of people emerged from the tents. The majority of them were slaves held by Watson following the defeat of the manor owner's allied troops. Since most of Blackmoon Town had been destroyed, the remaining Blackmoon Castle could not accommodate as many people, thus, they were forced to stay outside. Fortunately, Watson had ordered them to become Blackmoon Town's official workers, and they were entitled to a monthly wage of 1 gold coin, as well as an independent room after they rebuilt the town. That was their gift. The people from the Mage Guild and the Northwind Mercenary Group were the most unhappy. They did not even have a tent and had to sleep on the rough ground. They were in charge of erecting tents during the day and patrolling at night, and they were not even paid for that. Who is it? Casting a spell in broad daylight? Why is it so noisy? At that moment, Ron was lying on the ground. His snow-white armor was dirty, and he sat up from the soil in dissatisfaction. Those 2 days had been very miserable for him. Everyone in Blackmoon Castle could order him around, including the servants. They built tents for others, but he did not even have a place to stay. He could only eat one last bite after he helped the others make a fire and cook. As the Northwind Mercenary Group leader, he had never been so miserable in his life. He was especially pleased to see that the Blackmoon Knights had jointly advanced to Gold Tier and earned a phoenix egg each. Even the former Demonis bandit gang members had become maids in the castle. They had to wash the floor and get to relax in the sun every day. They even have a happy life in the huge room in Blackmoon Castle. He did not feel it was fair for him. He was a Gold Tier warrior, and he was a powerful figure wherever he went. Why was he not even comparable to the servants in Blackmoon Castle? Was his Gold Tier strength not comparable to those servants who did not have any power? Why are you shouting? It was young Master Watson's spell. If you have any dissatisfaction, you can tell young Master Watson. A servant from the castle, who was not far from Ron, glanced at him coldly. Watson had cast a spell? Ron was taken aback. When he looked out the front door, he saw that Watson was surrounded by lightning. He was in a divinely luminous star coat. Ron swallowed his saliva. He could feel the magic released by Watson. It made him shudder. It was as if he was not facing Watson but some unknown existence. So it was young Master Watson who had cast it. It's fine, then. Ron smiled awkwardly and sat back down. He had not seen Watson for 2 days. It seemed like his strength had grown stronger. He thought it was all because of the astrologer's good instruction. That was fantastic. How could Ron not have such luck to have the most knowledgeable mage in the kingdom as his teacher? Ron moaned inwardly. He felt only hate, envy, and hatred. Martin, who was also a slave, looked at him with a scornful attitude. What is the name of the Northwind Mercenary Group leader, He lacks tenacity. He did not even dare to say anything when he knew that it was Watson who did it. Unlike me. Martin, what are you going to do? Don't do anything reckless. The voice that stopped him came from a couple of the Mage Guild's remaining elders. They were all looking at him uneasily, fearful that Martin would do something unusual. They were good slaves, and they had managed to survive. If they enraged Watson, the boy might combine them into the body of someone else. That was an even more severe sentence than death. You'll know what I'm going to do soon. Martin rose to his feet and took a step forward. When he caressed his cheek, his cold expression softened into a flattering smile. He approached Watson and clapped loudly. It is as expected of young Master Watson. You can cast such powerful magic, such an amazing talent. I'm impressed by your heroism. Plop. Something fell from behind them. A group of people looked at Martin, they were speechless. They spoke righteously, but in the end, they still surrendered to Watson. They were not even as good as Ron. Watson felt a strong force around him. He felt the sensation as if his body was torn apart. He quickly pointed to the sky in the distance. Violent lightning swooped onto his arm and transformed into a thick lightning dragon, howling as it sailed into the sky. It pierced a massive hole in the layers of dark clouds as the rain began to fall. The sunlight streamed down and gleamed on his body, it made him look like a god. I feel that the God's Descent spell is similar to the transformation of the Great Sin Beast with the Great Sin Mask. They are both in different forms, one is a beast, and the other is a deified creature. Perhaps the gods are just some powerful monsters. Watson pushed the lightning-shaped tree branch in his hand into the ground and gazed into the distance. All the information about God's Descent appeared in his mind. God's Descent, Messenger God form. Abilities, control lightning, beacons, leave your coordinates at any place and you can arrive directly. The beacons will last for 1 day, telepathy, can transmit your thoughts to anyone within sight without needing to speak, God's protection, immune to platinum tier holy spells and below, double the damage to evil creatures, ... That is the power of a god, what a powerful ability. Watson sighed. There were 24 tarot cards, and with the addition of the 7 great sins, he could now transform into 31 different forms. Even a platinum tier elite of the same level would be quite distressed when faced with so many forms and endless skills. He was still only a gold tier elite. When he finally entered the platinum tier, he was confident that he would be invincible, only 1 level below the diamond tier. Sensing the awe-inspiring gazes from the surroundings of Blackmoon Castle and the trembling earth, Watson restrained his aura. A glowing card floated out of his body and gradually turned into light spots and shattered. Watson's aura was restrained when he sensed the awe-inspiring gazes from Blackmoon Castle when the earth shook. A bright card floated out of his body, it faded gently into light spots before it shattered. If it was used as a gold tier item, that card could be maintained forever. If he were to use God's Descent, then the card could only last him for 10 minutes. It seemed like 10 minutes was not enough. Master, can you teach me some more powerful spells? Watson turned around as he thought about that. His body had already returned to its original state. Master, the spells you taught me were too simple. Did the astrologer keep something from him? The mage, known as the most knowledgeable in the kingdom, should have more than just one skill. Are you joking with me? The astrologer resisted the urge to vomit blood. He had almost taught Watson everything he knew, yet Watson still felt that it was too simple. He was the boy's master, but it felt as if he would not be able to raise his head in the future. However, he still had to pretend to be calm. Watson, you are only a gold tier mage now. Learning spells that are too profound is not suitable for you. The spells you just learned are enough for you. If you learn too many things at once, you will fall into chaos. All right, Master. Watson nodded, but he did not think much of it. He had a fusion system. No matter what he learned, as long as he fused it, he would be able to master it and make it stronger. However, the astrologer must have a reason to say that. After all, the astrologer had lived for hundreds of years, and he had more knowledge. Well, Watson, I suddenly remembered that I have an urgent task at the border count's mansion. If you do not need anything else, then I shall take my leave first. The astrologer did not want Watson to continue to pester him for more knowledge about magic, so he needed an excuse to avoid him. He would lose his dignity if he did not have any good spells to teach his disciple. He also did not have that many high-quality tools left on him. He might as well ask the border count to support him. The master had fled because the apprentice was too exceptional. Watson must have been the only disciple since ancient times to do that. Master, that's okay, you can go. But before you leave, I hope you can help me with a small favor. Watson blinked, and the astrologer's heart thumped. He had a bad premonition. What favor? It's only a small favor. I need to restore Blackmoon Castle. You only need to help me cast some Earth Elemental Platinum Tier spells, the Skyfall spell, and summon enough meteorites for us. Of course, if you're not willing to do that, you can also teach me that spell. Cast dozens of Platinum Tier spells consecutively. Did Watson want to exhaust his master? The astrologer rolled his eyes, almost unable to maintain his calm expression. Well, this is the first time you've taken the initiative to ask me for a specific spell. Since you've asked so sincerely, I'll teach you that spell. He only had one thought at the moment, and that was to leave quickly. Who knew if Watson would have any more requests after he learned that spell? Chapter 170, City in the Sky. Skyfall, also known as the Starfall, was the astrologer's best earth elemental spell. Congratulations, Master, for learning the earth elemental platinum tier spell, Starfall. It is used to summon meteorites from the sky. Each meteorite has the power of a peak gold tier. The number of meteorites summoned is determined by the amount of magic released. The system notification echoed in his ear. Watson could feel the effects of the Skyfall spell in his mind. The astrologer was a candid person. After he agreed to his request, he immediately transmitted the content of the spell to his mind. Not bad. There will be no shortage of ore materials for the Blackmoon Castle in the future with this spell. Watson rubbed his chin and revealed a satisfied smile. Previously, the stone materials he used to build the castle were either transported from the nearby Misty Forest or purchased from the various manors in Monty Town. The quality was between iron and bronze. Things had changed. He could cast a spell to summon a peak gold tier meteorite. It was much more convenient. Of course, it would require a large amount of magic to cast a spell, but the benefits outweighed the disadvantages. The battle with the Mage Guild had made Watson understand that the castle's defense was insufficient. If the walls were turned into the platinum tier, they would be safe no matter who attacked them in the future. Watson turned to the astrologer and smiled cutely. Master, since you've taught me the Starfall spell, why don't you teach me the spell you used to summon the giant rock golem? The astrologer was speechless. It seemed like his disciple was not easily satisfied. Watson, I just said that it's not good to learn too many spells at once. It's easy to bite off more than you can chew. Master, please teach me. I promise that that is the last spell that I will ask to learn from you today. He would be able to master it only once he fused the spell. One spell was not enough to complete the fusion. Are you sure it's the last one? I'm sure. You won't lie to me. Of course. Why would I lie to you, Master? It would be a lie if I believed you. After much hesitation, the astrologer agreed. He reached out and pressed on Watson's forehead. A wave of profound knowledge flowed into Watson's mind through his fingers. Remember, that is the last one. Congratulations, Master, for learning the Earth Elemental Platinum Tier spell, Giant Rock Golem Summon. It condenses Earth elements to create a rock golem that has the strength of a Platinum Tier elite. The rock golem has self-awareness and can cooperate with the Master to complete some simple commands. 2 Earth Elemental spells suitable for fusion detected. Do you wish to begin the fusion? Fusion. When he heard the system's voice in his mind, Watson decided without hesitation. The knowledge of the two spells in his mind immediately collided, it became even more profound. Congratulations, Master, for a successful fusion. You have obtained an Earth Elemental Peak Platinum Tier spell, the Giant Lava Golem. The Lava Golem is a superior existence of the Rock Golem. Its body flows with eternal magma. It can be cast from the sky and reach any place within sight. The spells have been merged. Now, I just need to start construction. Watson rubbed his fists and was about to make his move when he suddenly thought of something. The astrology I learned can be used for divination. Why don't I try divination now and see if it's suitable for me to build something today? If so, where should I build the castle? That was not the first time that Blackmoon Castle had been rebuilt. It had been built twice before, and each time, it was destroyed by others. Watson could not help but wonder if the feng shui of his home was not good. He did as he thought. Green branches of the world tree appeared on his hands. They snapped with a crisp ka-cha sound and squirmed into a palm-sized wooden token. On it, the starlight in the sky moved, and a gorgeous pattern appeared. It turned into 24 cards that emitted a golden aura and circled around him in a beautiful trajectory. With the name of the stars to spy on fate, I want to divine if today is suitable for rebuilding Blackmoon Castle. Watson looked at the sky and matched the flight path of the tarot cards to the stars in the sky. Then, he pulled the two cards closest to him. The first was a star card, and the second was a card named Nothingness. He did mention that there were 24 tarot cards in that world. It was very similar to the tarot cards in his previous life. In his previous life, the tarot cards included the first card, the Fool card, to the 22nd card, the World card. Since there were 24 cards in that world, the extra 2 cards were the 23rd card, the Nothingness card, and the 24th card, the God card. The Nothingness card represented the return of everything to peace. After one obtained everything, one would eventually lose everything, while the God card represented the form that all living creatures would eventually become. Those 2 cards were unique, so the stars they corresponded to were also unique to that world. The galaxy that corresponded to the former was called the Death Omen Star, while the latter corresponded to the Absolute Beginning Star. People said that those 2 stars were the oldest in the world. Of course, it was not the time to think about those things. A stream of information followed the starlight and entered Watson's mind. Today is suitable for trading and building, not for killing or visiting. Suitable for building, then it means that we can build a house. Let me divine where we should build the castle. Watson was satisfied. He drew 2 more cards. He got the Sun card and the Tower card. An additional piece of information entered his mind. It's not north, south, east, west, but above. Don't tell me I have to build a house in the sky. Watson looked up at the sky in confusion. That was a bit difficult, so he was ready to ask for his master's opinion. Master, I just did divination. Hey, Master, where are you going? He found that the astrologer was tiptoeing backward. He was already a few hundred meters away from him. Didn't I say that I'm going to visit the border count? You do your thing, I'll be right back. The astrologer showed an awkward expression on his face. He had wanted to take advantage of Watson's divination to sneak away, but he did not expect to be discovered. Master, I just did a divination and found that today is suitable for building houses, but not for visits. Why don't you stay here, rebuild Blackmoon Castle with me, and then visit the border count in 2 days? Watson was worried. He was really concerned about the astrologer, but in the astrologer's ears, his words were like the whisper of a demon, a precursor for him to ask for more spells. Watson has just learned astrology. How can it be accurate? I think he doesn't want me to leave, mainly to get benefits from me. Not suitable for visits? It must be a lie, I will not be fooled. The astrologer stroked his beard. As he thought about it, the ground beneath his feet was suddenly gone. It seemed like a long crack had appeared after the intense battle, and he had fallen into the hole. He cried out in surprise. Ouch! Watson looked from afar and realized that his master had fallen into the ground. He frowned. It seemed like astrology was quite reliable. It looked like he had to build a castle in the sky. He turned his head and looked at the devastated land. After the Blackmoon Knight's cleanup, he could see the remains of more than 10 manors around Blackmoon Castle. The meteorites had been removed, only a pile of debris was left. A destroyed Iron Tier Manor. Effect: it is already a garbage dump. Basically, it cannot be inhabited. It needs to be rebuilt. Information about the manors appeared in his eyes. Watson raised his right hand toward them and activated the system fusion. Boom! With a muffled sound, the ruined manors disintegrated instantly. They turned into streams of light and collided with each other before they fused into the Blackmoon Castle behind him. Even the earth was squeezed together. Almost in an instant, the garbage dumps that originally covered dozens of kilometers had disappeared. The charred black stones collided and turned into hard stones. The broken wood connected and became complete beams. The stones and beams formed complete houses. Time seemed to have gone backward. More than 10 manors that looked no different from the past appeared in everyone's sight. The sound of notifications continued to ring in Watson's ears, such as "Congratulations, Master, for fusing the exquisite houses," and "Congratulations, Master, for fusing Iron Tier houses into Bronze Tier manors." Thousands of people watched that scene in shock as they stood around Blackmoon Castle. The Blackmoon Knights, who had joined a long time ago, were fine. They had seen Watson fused Blackmoon Castle before, but those who had joined later were dumbfounded. Dozens of Gold Tier Blackmoon Knights worked hard for 2 days, but they could only move the meteorites. Watson only waved his hand, and the entire Blackmoon town was restored. It was too terrifying. However, that was not what was truly terrifying. After Watson restored more than 10 manors, he waved his hand again. At that time, he had combined the dozens of manors and hundreds of meteorites that the Blackmoon Knights had brought back with the Blackmoon Castle. The crumbling Blackmoon Castle had turned into light and disappeared on the spot. In its place was a floating building that left a massive shadow on the ground. The colossal base was like an ancient temple, and it had blocked the sunlight.